All right, I've got the spindle off, and before I go any further, I just want to make sure that these new control arms seem to be the correct ones before I go any further here. And yes, that does appear to be the correct one. Yes. Check for your stabilizer bar right here. Bushing mount there. Spindle stop right here. All matches up. Curved lines. All looks correct. Who says eBay's bad? eBay's cheap, but the parts are good. Just got to buy them from the right folks. All right, continuing on. Okay, now, if you think you've got the threads right here are the wrong ones, they're not. Trust me. It's just when they paint these lower control arms at that factory, they get the paint in the threads. So yeah, just manually run your old shock absorber bolts back in there and clean the threads. Just chase them with your original bolts. No biggie. They are the correct threads. Nothing wrong there at all. All right, continuing on. All right, just got it back together. Lower control arm, upper control arm. All I gotta do is tighten up the upper control arm, lower control arm bolts. Mounting bolts, those. Yep, those. I want to get everything back together and get it in its normal position before tightening it back down. All right, the internet, including YouTube, is full of videos on how to disassemble these front end parts. First thing I do after I get the wheel off is I pull my cotter pins out of the tie rod end and out of the upper and lower ball joints, and then loosen up your nut on the tie rod end here, and take a hammer and give a good smack to that tie rod end right there, and it'll just fall out of there. Right? Put your nut back on so you don't lose it. Now you have access to those ball joints, easy access. I like to pull mine over this side so you can get right in here on them, see? And I can take them right out with a 1/2 inch impact and a U-joint, 1/2 inch U-joint in the right socket, which I think is 15/16. But yeah, it makes quick work of it, and just smack a hammer on your spindle right here and here as well to break those ball joints loose. And make sure you got your jack under here, and it's got a good bite under that ball joint there to where the jack can't slip back out of there on you. And here's that U-joint set up. Now it's loose, and you leave it about right there so you don't have any quick happenings on you. And that's loose as well. Take your hammer, and then it breaks loose, see? That's all it is to it. Now you can take the nut off and pry it apart. I'll leave that one loose until I get my brake line done. And don't matter, I'll take it off. Now check it to see that it's loose. I'm replacing these ball joints, so it doesn't matter how silly I get. Alright, she's still connected. Here. Couple bangs there. Oops. Let's try that. There we go. She's loose. Alright. Let me get this brake line off. And then I'll take the spindle off and lay it over here and coat hanger wire it up over here so it doesn't fall and hurt the brake line. All right. Now once I get my spindle off and set the side over there and coat hangered it up to a bolt and bracket, just to make sure if it falls loose while you're working in there, accidents can happen, it won't bust your brake hose on its way to the ground because it's very heavy and it'll take your brake hose out. So now I take my last two shock absorber bolts out the bottom. Already took the top one off before I even started good. Let that shock absorber get out of there while I have the leaf spring up. And then I'll take out the stabilizer link bushing bolt right here, and that will be it. Then I'll be down to just removing the coil spring and taking the A-arms off. All right, got my last shock absorber bolt out. Remove the drop shocks out of there. Shock rather. Now I'm just took the nut loose on the stabilizer bar bolt. All right. Get that loose. Take that out. Stick your bolt right back in there. Keep all the guts together. And that's the last thing out. Now you slowly let it down with the emphasis towards the jack being this way. Slowly let the pressure off of that coil spring. Now it's not as tall as the factory springs because I've lowered my truck. So I don't have as far to go down before I take all the pressure off. See right there? That's as far as I had to go, and the pressure's really off. There ain't much left on it. See, I can move that by hand. Now safety dictates you leave your jack under here, just in case, the unknown. But I know, you know, that bad boy's loose. And then you take your pry bar and position it to pull the spring down some more, and the coil spring will come out. Now, once you get your lower control arm bushings, lower control arm bushing bolts that hold the lower control arm on, once you get them out, put yourself under the outside edge of this thing. You get you a pry tool and put in here and give it a jerk like that to break these bushings loose from the frame brackets. And they can be tough, as that one is right there. But just manipulate them. Work with this board, and you should be able to get them out without too much difficulty. All right, continuing on, going to the upper control arm now. Now, before I take out these upper control arm bolts. Those are the ones that hold the adjustment for your caster and camber adjustments on the front end. Just take a picture, which I already did, and note on that picture so you can put them back close to where they were before, which will make it driving around a whole lot better on your tires, and you're trying to keep the truck in a straight line until you can get your front end line. Makes a difference. All right, just got my upper control arm out. Didn't have any problems. You can see the alignment slots right here have been punched out. Those are blanks in here from the factory so that they hold a really small position for all of them on the assembly line. And later when you need a front end alignment, they pop out the rest of what's filled in this slot here. They pop them out, and that allows this open slot to be adjusted by the front end alignment shops to where they can move that camber in and out, positive negative camber, as well as some caster. As you can see, mine has been popped out, which I knew it was when I did the lowering job. I checked that for the front end alignment man because he wanted to know, because it'd be a lot more expense if they got to pop those out for you. Which it ain't a lot to it, but they like to charge a lot for it anyway. You know how it is. All right, let me get my upper and lower new control arms built and get back on it. Now I'm going to show you these control arms I bought off of eBay. You can see they all come in plastic, but they're totally dipped and rust corrosion prevented, and then repainted, new bushings installed, and new ball joints installed. This is just a protective cover right here to cover the rubber during shipping. As you can see, it's good stuff, man. I've done the other side already, and it all went smooth. I had to put one bolt in here, which I had in the shop, because some of these control arms on different applications, they'll have a bolt you have to pull out here for the brake line or something else. So they leave it out for those applications. So just shove you a bolt in here and a nut and tighten it down. You're good to go on that. It's not a big deal anyway. Those three would hold it perfectly. So yeah, that's no big deal. But yeah, quality piece, you know. I got the upper control arms complete like this for like $67 or something. I mean, dirt cheap. Can't beat it. And the lower control arms were, these were a little more. Something about the lower ones cost more. But yeah, these lower ones were like 130. I think that's what I paid. 130 for the pair. And they come with everything too. Already ready to go. Now, one of mine was missing, this one was missing a cotter pin. It's no problem, I got cotter pins. And a zert fitting. I think this is missing the zert fitting. No, that one's got a zert fitting on it. So sometimes they don't get the zert fittings in them, or the cotter pin. But I mean, that's nothing. Got that stuff laying around the shop. It's cheap anyway if you had to buy some. But you can't beat it. It's a great product for the money. 200 bucks, and I'm replacing upper and lower control arms that already have the bushings and ball joints in them. Basically ready to go. Totally reconditioned. I mean, you just can't beat it. It saves you a lot of trouble knocking these bushings out and setting the new ones in the proper positions, and just all that garbage, including the ball joints, pressing them in and out, knocking them in and out, however you do it. And you know, if they're riveted, you know, you got to chisel the rivets out or cut them off with a cut-off tool, whatever. You know, it's a lot of pain in the butt dealing with all that stuff. And for the money, to just replace these and have some nice stuff to go back on, I mean, hell, you can't beat it. I figured 200 bucks. It's all I like, putting the whole front end on this truck. I've done everything else on it. I mean, everything. You can look at my past videos where I replaced everything on this truck, on the front end. So this is all I had left, was just ball joints and bushings. So that completes the front end on this truck. I mean, it's all been replaced at this point, other than the stabilizer bar itself, which there's nothing wrong with. Heavy bar. I ain't going NASCAR racing in it anyway, so we're good. All right, continuing on.